to Facts and Two Cents with PNP. I'm Pamela
and Petol.
So we have a lot going on. Oh my goodness, I hate my brake lights showing up. So if you see them, ignore them. It's just part of Zoom life. But yes, so we have so much going on that we need to talk about, and it's a lot. So we're gonna unpack, unload, separate, give you the facts, and then add our 2 cents to it. So as the name goes, facts and 2 cents. And today we have quite a few stuff going on that we want to jump on. But before we start, how was your week, Petol?
My week is, well, since today is like Monday.
Or weekend. I guess that's how was your weekend? Then I should have said.
Oh, my weekend. My weekend was trying to learn how to edit and editing, which has been great because I've learned how to do credits. I learned how to mock up a logo. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
It's been a very creative weekend. So it's been,
yeah. I was just relaxing. I didn't do much. I just chilled, relaxed. And I even hated to do my laundry. I'm like, do I have to do my laundry? I'm like, okay, fine. I need to. If it wasn't for my laundry, I would not have stepped out of my apartment the whole weekend.
So, yeah, I have to do my laundry too.
So those of you who don't live in New York, those of you who don't live in New York watching us, some of us in New York, we don't have the luxury of having a laundromat in our building. So we have to go outside and have it done. So that is why.
And especially if you have a walk-up, if you're living in a walk-up apartment and you have to log the laundry downstairs and then you have to put it back upstairs, and it's just...
I live in a walk-up.
Yeah, so, same here.
But the mentality I need to have is I'm exercising.
That's right.
It really shifts because I'm like, okay, it's a walk-up, so it's a workout, and I'm extra weight is I have my laundry in a cart, so I'm
workout the arms.
So I'm like, yep, that is a workout all the way down and back up. So once I think like that, I'm like, okay, yeah, just burn extra calories. Let's go for it. I'll do it. So it's all a mindset then. But anywho's, we are a channel that as we always say, we are biased. We only focus on our favorite royals, and they are as follows: Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, Archie, Baby Montecito, Miss Doria, Guy, and Pula.
That's right.
And we agree that we are petty and biased.
Very.
So when you watch this show and you hear something, you choose to argue with us, you're arguing with a wall. Like, you're just arguing with yourself. We just told you we are biased.
Yeah, we're not here for that.
We're not here for the other royals. And we'll give you the facts though, but we are biased. So because we love our faves and we stand for our faves, and we'll talk about them. Listen, the other people, if you like them, follow them. Do your podcast about them. You don't see me following them or talking about them unless they're connected to our faves. Then we will mention them. But anywho's, welcome back to Facts and 2 Cents. And today we have a few. I'm looking at my phone because I have other information on my phone as well. So we want to just talk about Black women's pain. And this encompasses a whole lot of issues, right? And you can see like this has been happening for eons, but of late, it's just been exploding. Like turn on the news or talk shows, and you know where I'm going with the talk show. But it's all up in the space where everybody's like talking about it and calling people out on it and really acknowledging. But I think it also goes back to our fave, right? Meghan Markle and her pain as a person of color, a Black woman, so in America, that her pain was just like ignored. So we want to talk about that. We're going to talk about Meghan and Stallion and, being ignored. I think Petol wanted to dive into that as well. Chrissy Teigen, and then Kate made Meghan cry. That whole story. I mean, you guys have heard this before, but we want to just let you guys see how this all connects, right? And how when a Black woman talks about her pain, it's ignored because even in the healthcare industry, you know, when Black pregnant women go out there to uh, have their kids, their pain, physical pain is also ignored, right? It's like
Right.
you have the threshold, a higher threshold, so they ignore you. So there's a higher mortality rate when it comes to Black women having children. So that's all part of it. So, anyways, let's kick it off with Black women's pain.
Yeah.
What have you to say, Miss Petol?
Well, I think you talked about it before. It's just people just don't believe us when we say we're hurt.
Yeah.
But
why do you think they don't, though?
Well, the thing is, they don't, what happens is they don't usually come out and say, I don't believe you. Yeah. But usually it's the, almost like you need to give them proof that you're hurting. It's, going back to Meghan Markle, like, starting off with Meghan and Meghan, as many of you know, did the interview with Oprah. And one of the, a lot of the things that came out of it is the major criticism, or should I say backlash that she has received, because especially when she talked about, having suicidal thoughts and not wanting to, be alive anymore, is how many people, including Piers Morgan on live television, why he doesn't have a job right now, is saying that he does not believe a word of what she said, especially when it came to her suicidal thoughts. What I've seen a lot, especially on Twitter, as I don't really use the other platforms for this, is that so many people questioning, if she really had those thoughts. So many people were saying, well, how come if the royal family have, they have medical people and staff, how come she couldn't get help? How, but not in the sense of, why didn't the royal family help her? It's more in the sense of she's lying, she's lying that she get help because the royal family have those things. So of course they could have helped her. How come, if William and Kate, they lead head together, so then of course they could have helped her, but not in the sense of, well, why did William and Kate do nothing to help Meghan? Because they are heads, so it's always the questioning her,
Exactly.
And that why, you couldn't possibly have been having those thoughts and being in mental distress when you have these resources. The very fact that they not only knew that she was having this, the Kensington Palace leaked information to the press, because Valentine Lowe, who did the article about Meghan, that lying article about Meghan bullying people, he said on a Times podcast that he knew in the summer of 2019 that Meghan was going through mental distress and that she went to the head of HR to get help.
Yeah.
So not only did they know, when Meghan's friends said they knew, and then they leaked it to the press, and so people
something to be gained, if there's nothing to gain, they wouldn't do it. It's very profitable to discard her feelings, to ignore her feelings, to demonize her and make money off of her. So even if this is going to cost her life, oh well, what do they care?
Exactly.
Right? So it's one thing in mind, is there's money and preserving the bloodline, quote unquote, if they could.
Exactly. And my problem with that is they are questioning Meghan and asking for evidence that she was struggling. Meanwhile, when that story came out, that when Camilla Tominey leaked that lying story about Meghan making Kate cry, nobody asked for evidence.
I know, because all they say is a source. And once Camilla, somebody called Camilla Toniel, says something and she says a source, then it's supposed to be God's given truth.
Exactly.
Right? Like nobody questions this. It's like, where's the sources? Prove to us where your sources are. Because quite honestly, if this is somebody's life, then you need to be able to be like, well, I spoke to somebody in Clarence's house. I spoke to somebody in Buckingham Palace, right? So that way we can at least know that it's coming from Buckingham Palace. It's coming from Clarence's house, or whatever, Kensington Palace, wherever the place is, and speak to that. But if you just keep saying source, the sources, which is pretty much 99.9% a lie, then they're able to write whatever they write, and they like, oh, we're protecting our sources. Yeah, you're not protecting any sources. You're just lying.
Exactly. And even if, and again, that came because according to Meghan, that came from the palace. That story came from the palace. They twisted it and make it like, called her the aggressor, basically, which is what they did. But my point with that is nobody questioned that story. Yeah. Nobody asked for proof. They believe right on Camilla Tominey's word that a black biracial woman attacked or, caused the white Kate to cry.
But even when the truth came out, they still didn't change it.
No, they haven't.
I mean? They haven't even changed it up till now. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like,
what they have done.
No, because Camilla was on this morning and they called her on it. And she was like, I fundamentally disagree. What are you disagreeing of? That it was true? So if you're saying it wasn't true, then you're saying that Meghan is lying. But if it is true, then you went ahead and wrote it anyway, so you lied. Either way, you're a liar.
Yeah, and not funny, haha, but the funny thing about this story is, even though Meghan has corrected that story, they are twisting themselves into pretzels to make Kate the victim. Where it's now like, oh, Kate is very hurt that Meghan would drag her into this. Kate is very hurt that she would not want to be a part of tabloid gossip. Kate is, I mean, this story, all of a sudden, they are doing pretzels with themselves to make Kate be the victim. And then he has now changed the story to where Kate came and apologized to Meghan, and Meghan slammed the door in her face.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And nobody has
is that recent? I haven't read that.
So now it's Meghan slammed the door in Kate's face.
So if Kate came back and talked to Meghan and Meghan slammed the door, so what should we do with your very first story? If it's a lie, why should we believe you this time?
They just expect us to forget
and
move on to the next lie.
I don't know. Honestly, I find it so bizarre sometimes how it seems that the British people are so gullible. It seems like that. It just comes across from the amount of headlines. You're like, wait, are you don't believe that, do you? But they do. It seems like they do. At least the majority does.
Yeah. The reason why their press is the way it is because nobody does anything about it. For them, it's entertainment. They're not looking for the truth. They are not looking. When you look at,
is it entertainment?
There's a reason why
it's entertainment, though. I don't think it's entertainment. I think it's more than that. It might be with the pretense of entertainment, but if it's entertainment, the reactions will not be this vile. You know what I mean? If it's entertainment and they understood it's entertainment, then it's kind of like you shrug it off. No, it is the truth for them. And I think what I'm assessing, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but it's my thoughts, is I feel like the British people, majority of them, except those who are royalists, their identity is attached to the royals. Who they are is all about the royals, right? It's like whatever the royal does, that's representative of them. I don't know if they know who they are aside from the royal. So if you attack the royals or you come for the royals or you question the royals, then it feels like you're questioning them. And like, if you come for Biden and he does something wrong, you're not coming for me. You're coming for his administration. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you came for Barack Obama and he did something wrong and you point it out, you're questioning his actions. nothing to do with my identity as someone who voted for him. You know what I mean? It's like, that is not who I am. So I feel like it's their identity. They're so attached to it that there's nothing else to compare it to. They have nothing to reference than the royals. You know what I mean? It's just, especially with a certain age group of people, it's that their whole life has been based on Queen Elizabeth, and they have nothing else. They know nothing else. It's like all they know is Betty. You know, Betty this, Betty that, Betty that. That's it. They don't know anything else. And so their livelihood, their allegiance, it's all sold to the crown. So
Yeah.
I
look at it a little bit different when I say entertainment. I'm not talking about music, song and dance entertainment. I'm talking about blood sport entertainment. I'm talking about the kind of entertainment where back in the day when they would lynch people, they would lynch men and women. It was like you would see them lynching, and they would, they would put that on cards.
Right.
You see men, women, and children gathered around like it's a party.
Taking
it's
a picture
to watch a black man hanging in a tree. It's the same kind of mentality back in the day with the blood sports, when back in the Romans they would feed slaves and whatever to animals. People came to the Colosseum to watch that. That was entertainment. And that's the kind of entertainment I'm talking about, where watching your press destroy a person's life. I mean, this is the kind of entertainment. It's like a blood sport. It's entertaining for them to watch their press destroy someone else. And that's the kind of entertainment I'm talking about. Because they've done it so many times, they will just sit there and allow them, and they are gobbling up. I mean, there's a reason why the Sun and the Daily Mail are their top two newspapers. There's a reason why. These are tabloids. We talk about tabloids in the US. Yes, we have tabloids in the US, but that's not mainstream news. No. We know what tabloids, there's a clear line of what tabloids is and what mainstream. When tabloid news with all the lies and fake stuff is your mainstream media, and that is what you're consuming, that's you know what I mean? That is on the public. They can't do what they're doing. They can't write all those stories without the public consuming that stuff.
Because the public is living vicariously through the press.
Through them, right, exactly. And for me, that's why I said that is the thing that is nourishing them. That's their entertainment. That's the thing where they're like, oh, give me more, give me more, give me more.
Feed them to the lions.
For me, I look at Meghan as a Black woman, a biracial woman, however you want to term her,
she's a Black woman in the US.
She, people term themselves differently. She uses biracial because she, she feels like that's, and that's fine. But right now, she is their sport. She is who they're feeding on. The point of that kind of sport is to kill the person. You feed on that person until you kill them. And that is the point of that right now. And that is what they're doing.
And then, what is so pathetic? When, God forbid, but when Caroline Flack died, unfortunately, killed herself, there was a nanosecond of empathy. And then
that's what they do.
And then they jump back to it again.
Find the next
person. And it's kind of like, oh, let me relieve my guilt. Then right back to the next victim.
But I think, even going back to Meghan, it's the place that we are put in as Black women, where it doesn't matter how we say we're hurt.
Right.
It doesn't matter how we say we're in pain. The fact is, you look at Meghan and go back to that interview, how much she was trying to compose herself and how much she was trying to be not emotional or say it, and with passion, how she really feels.
Yeah.
Yet look at the backlash she's getting.
Yep.
She is not allowed, and we are not allowed as Black women we don't have the privilege of going off. Without being termed angry, aggressive, the aggressive one attacking. In spite of our pain, in spite of all of the things the trauma that we are facing, we still have to consider how we are coming across and how you are taking it and not wanting to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's so unfair that we're put in a position of having to deal with our own trauma and then having to consider the white population, because the white population is going to, come at us and, basically label us, as they always do, the aggressive Black woman, the angry Black woman.
And
therefore give them a reason to dismiss.
That translates, right? And I know we have a few other things to talk about. That translates into even with Chrissy Teigen, right? When she equally had her miscarriage, and then subsequently Meghan also had hers, and both announced theirs. The attack was ridiculous. It's like, she has the right to take a picture of her moment. And come to find out, it was even her husband who agreed to, was it her husband who took it? I don't know. But they agreed to take the picture just to have memories of what happened. It's like, who are you? You don't live with her. You don't have to follow her on her page. You don't have to like her pictures, but she's entitled to say, to do the things she wants to do for herself. If it's a healing process for her, she's allowed to talk about it. But yet again, people went after her just the same way they went after Meghan when she talked about her miscarriage. It's like, how horrible of a human being can you be? How insensitive can you be that you don't have any slight of empathy, a slice of empathy, that you can be like, let me at least dish that out a little bit so that way I can understand where she's coming from. Maybe you cannot relate, but just as a human being, somebody loses a child, you just be kind. You are not that void of kindness. Like, it's in you. You just have to tap into it. Right. Find it.
I was gonna say the difference is with Chrissy sharing, about her miscarriage and just the journey that she and her family has gone through with that pain, is I've been following, and I should have gotten his name, Kaczynski or something, on Twitter. This is a gentleman who, him and his wife, has lost their baby. Yeah. And so he has been tweeting pictures of her and talking about her as a way for him.
It's a healing process for him.
And and I could be wrong, but I have been, sort of looking at it. Every time he posts, I would see it come through, and and I, several times I even responded, and just to encourage and whatever. It has been, and what he's doing. It's how he's healed. And I think it was yesterday, I think he talked about wanting to commit suicide while that, and the pain, and you realize this is a process he's going through, and he's being open, and this is how he's going to heal. And what is so horrible is that people attacked Chrissy without even giving her the benefit of a doubt that this is how she is able to heal, and how she is able to get through the hurt and the pain that this has caused her. And the same thing with Meghan. It's like, I haven't seen, and I could be wrong, maybe they have, but definitely not the kind of attacks that came Meghan and Chrissy's way that's coming to this gentleman and his family, And it's like, well, he is allowed to do this, which I am happy he's doing it.
Right.
Because
can you even imagine Meghan posting stuff about her loss and keep talking about it? Oh, then it would be like, she seeks attention. She's like, she wants attention.
And the thing you hear all the time is, shut up. Why can't they shut up?
Shut up, yeah. But who the heck are you to tell her to shut up? Now, why don't you shut up? Maybe if you shut up, then you won't probably have to hear her talk. Shut up and mute yourself.
The idea that they want to shut, and that is the thing, that people want to shut. They don't want to, because a lot of time what I've noticed, especially for us as Black women, people don't see us as people.
No, not as human.
They don't see us as human beings. Therefore, this is one of the reasons I always hated when Prince Charles named Meghan Tungsten.
He did what?
He nicknamed her Tungsten. which is a hard material, like it's harder than gold. It's hard. I mean, it's a hard material.
Oh, this is new to me. I never heard this one.
And it means that is just, it's a hard material. It's like harder than gold. It's harder than, it's carbide. It's a carbide ring, virtually indestructible. It's scratch proof. Tungsten is 10 times harder than 10 karat gold, 5 times harder than steel, 4 times harder than titanium. And he nicknamed her that. And for me, that is a way of dehumanizing someone. It's a way of taking away their humanity, that they don't feel, they don't.
What is the story behind that?
She's a strong person, and that's why he, Serena even said, she has not met someone who has been able to take the things that Meghan has been able to endure and still have, compassion and whatever. Yeah. And so she's just a person with a strong mental,
a strong mental.
Yeah, and a strong mental, yeah. And so people mistake that for someone who doesn't feel, who, you can beat them, you can abuse them, you can whatever.
Yeah.
And she doesn't feel, she's strong, you can't scratch her. Therefore, it gives you permission to abuse them because they are not human, they don't feel. Yeah. And when I heard that, I've always been angry. Even recently I heard one of those British commentators was like, yeah, and even Charles even nicknamed her tongue, like if that's a good thing. I'm like, that is not a good thing. That is giving you permission to abuse someone with the impression that they're not feeling your abuse.
Yeah, but subliminally, you strongly believe, like you said, that the person is not human, they can take it. This is not going to hurt them. So because this is not going to hurt them in your mind, you just keep dishing it out,
Exactly.
all the time, it's really just hurting and it's like really damaging them. So they might not react in front of you, but you don't know how this is affecting them in their household, in their lives, with their work, all their family members. Because for you, it is a game, but for her, like she said, this is life, and this is relationships that are being destroyed by your selfishness and your evilness, and just like your superiority complex, thinking that you know it all, And if this is the thing, if you don't think we are human beings, you will not even treat your worst animal like that. You will not treat a dog like that.
Exactly.
Right? You would not treat a cat like that. So where do we lie? If we're not humans or we're not animals, where are we?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing. When I go back to saying, that's the behavior of the press. They don't look at her as human.
So what about Meghan the Stallion that you wanted to talk about? Because she also went through something similar. Well, not with
the same thing with Meghan.
But,
Meghan is, she had got into a situation last year where she came from a party with a friend of hers and a couple of,
who shot her or something.
Tory Lanez, and I think their security in a car. They were having this argument. She didn't want to deal with it anymore. She came out of the car and Corey shot her. Mm-hmm. And he shot her. And then, I guess a neighbor heard the whole thing and they called the cops, whatever. And this girl is there and she's bleeding.
And wouldn't name him.
Cops came. Huh?
She didn't even name him in the beginning.
Exactly. Cops came, got her to, asking questions. She is bleeding, was shot, having to deal with her trauma of being shot. Blood is coming out of her. Then cops are there and she's thinking, oh my gosh, we're in the middle of Black Lives Matter, police brutality, all of this stuff.
Yeah. Look at that. Yep.
If I tell them there is a car with a gun, what are the cops going to do to hit not only them, but all of us? We're all going to end up in jail. Yeah. So she having to deal with all of that, protecting the very person that shot her, and then next thing you know, it comes out that this stuff happened. People don't believe her.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that very well. Online, they were going after her. They were like, and Corey's fans or people were like just harassing Meghan.
Harassing her. He even released a song calling her a liar. His people are all over the place calling her a liar. Some people calling her a snitch, that it came out that, he was possibly the person. And this girl, all along, she is shot, having to go to the hospital, blood pouring out of her, cops, being mistreating her, being very aggressive with her, having to deal with all of that, and then having to protect the very people that shot her because she doesn't want to get him in jail.
It's so typical of a Black woman, though.
Her.
It's so typical of Black women, right? It's like at every stage, it's protect, even if it hurts us or hurts a Black woman. It's like the end goal is, how do you protect? How do you not give the police more ammunition? How do you not send another Black man to jail? How do you, even if he is abusive, right? In this case. And that has been, in a way, a strength, but yet a weakness of Black women, where it's like, carry on, take on the whole village, carry on the whole town, carry on the whole family, and try to protect. And so it seems like we just don't have the room to even understand and be able to express the pain that goes on. It's layered upon layered upon layered up. So those layers have to be stripped open for us to sometimes really just connect with us. And I think that's why sometimes I felt that's why people think that we don't feel, because we take on so much, right? It's like Black Lives Matters, we're the organizers, we're the founders, Black women, right? Somebody gets shot, guess who? Black women. All these things, fighting. I was looking at this show on CNN, if you haven't watched it, about this Black lady whose son was lynched by the KKK, the Klan, and she single-handedly and with some lawyers took them down, right? That was in the 1980s, not even the 50s, this 1980s. Like, he just was 19-year-old, I think it was 18 or 19, went out to go buy a cigarette. He was home with his sister, said, oh, I'm going to go to the store to buy a cigarette. And they never saw him again. When they saw him, he was hanging on a tree. Right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so he was lynched, and then they tried to they lied about it, obviously, and it took on forever. And guess who was part of that whole thing? What was the name of the attorney general that Trump fired? That's not it.
Oh, yes. I know.
Jeff Sessions.
Oh.
Yeah. Jeff Sessions was...
That man's gonna burn for what he has done.
Even then, you can tell how he was doing. Interview him, and he was like, "Oh, I wasn't lying." I was like, the way he was even saying, like, you're just epitome of what lying is. It's but that was so strange. But that's it again, from time immemorial, just how Black women just keep fighting the fight, stepping in and defending and protecting. And so it seems to the ordinary person who is not Black that, oh, she must be strong. But what she's doing, the Black woman is doing, is just stepping into the space that people need help. I mean? It's like just trying to protect. It's always the mindset of protecting. And I think that's what comes across sometimes, but it doesn't mean that we're not wounded and there's not much to, there's so much to peel, to deal with the emotional stress and the emotional, what do I call it? Emotional damage that needs to be dealt with. But yeah, it's crazy just watching that on the news and watching how the lady had to fight in the night. And this is not even 1950s. This is 1980s.
Right. And even now today, I mean, even just going back to Meghan, Meghan Thee Stallion is like, this girl not only was going through all that, literally, again, people didn't believe her. Even celebrities, even like 50 Cent, they were laughing and having these memes about it until this girl had to go, because she felt like people wouldn't believe her without evidence, post pictures of her wound. And evidence of her wound, and that post that. I mean, why does she have to do all that for people to believe her? And not only that, she had to post this video and literally say, you shot me. Yeah. And had to explicitly. And it's only then that 50 Cents and others were like, oh crap, this is real. I am, and he apologized, whatever. Why would she have to do all of that? Because who would go and just say, I got shot in both feet? I mean, why would a black woman? We don't have nothing else to do with our day than to go do stupid stuff like that.
But it's always those few black men who, and I'm not going to generalize because this is not all black men. It's just those few black men who always have to put the black woman down, right? It's always have to.
Always, there's always one, at least one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always like the first to accuse us, condemn, and yet we will be the first to back them up and support them and defend them. And I was like, it's insane.
Something to Gabrielle Union when she called out, what is it, Americans Got Talent? I always forget the name of those shows. America's Got Talent. When she, when she filed the charges against her, when they fired her, and then she, was like, look, she called out racism. She called out all this stuff. Terry Crews, who she supported when he he
didn't realize any racism.
Somebody as his agent for sexually abusing him. She was the first person to support him. The moment she, filed the charges against America Got Talent, he was like, oh, there's no racism here. I never saw racism. Basically, threw her under a bus and called her a liar. Yeah. And what happened? One of the things Gabrielle Union called out was Jay Leno coming on the show and making anti-Asian jokes, racist anti-Asian jokes. People didn't believe her.
But he recently apologized.
A couple of weeks ago, with all the stuff now that there's all this animosity towards Asians, Jay Leno finally admitted to all of his anti-Asian jokes. And I was like, they didn't believe Gabrielle Union when she said it. You know what I mean? It's like, black people we just lie and make stuff up, And it's just the same thing. When black women talk about these things, when we talk about stuff, it's like the initial feeling for some reason is, we don't believe you. You need to give us proof that what you're saying is true, or what your pain is, or what your experience is. I think for me today, it's just been about, believe when black women tell you something. We are not tungsten. We are not, we're not hard. We're not iron. We're not steel. We're not metal. We're not wood. We are human beings. Mm-hmm. When we say we're hurt, we're hurt. Mm-hmm. Black women, it's not easy for a black woman to come and tell you they're hurt. We would rather hide our feelings. And it's not until we are dying that we say, I am hurt.
Right.
So it's not okay for you to be like, well, give me proof. That is not okay.
Like, my word is enough.
Exactly. I don't need to come and give you proof and do a video and all that stuff and show you photo evidence of me going to a mental institution or going to a therapist for you to believe that I am suicidal. My word should be enough. And that's the thing. It's not okay that you believe lies that, like a white person will tell you a lie and you believe it, and a black person is sitting here dying and they're telling you you're dying, and you are like, well, show me evidence that you're dying. That is not okay.
And that's the fact. And that's a fact, and that's our 2 cents on it. And but until next time, thanks for joining, and we'll see you soon.